Hey, today I'm going to talk a little bit about techniques that you can use for practicing and when you're trying to set in your sight, especially those when you put a new sight on, how quick do you want to get it sighted in? Traditionally, you'll put up a single spot target and you'll shoot at it and see where they group, and that's good for getting you somewhat close. But to really fine tune it, you might look at shooting at a target like this, where you have a horizontal line. Now this one happens to be 1 inch thick. So that's what you do. You'd set it up, you'd put a level on it, make sure it's level so that you're there. Now you're going to shoot at this line. And if you're grouping all of them up here, it doesn't really matter. You're going to shoot at the line anywhere. Anywhere on the line is where you're going to go. Don't worry about hitting right here in the middle because you don't care. What's going to happen is as you're aiming at this, you're going to have your bow is going to be floating back and forth a little bit along this line. And it's a little bit of a mental game here where your mind will let that pin float across here and you don't worry about it. So what you want to do is start shooting. If you're shooting high along here someplace, you don't care exactly where it is, but then you're going to adjust it down, move your pin up since you move it down. So now next thing you know, you're hitting on this line, anywhere on that line, you don't care. So now you have your elevation is set right for your 20-yard pin. Then take your target, turn it this way, put a level on there, make sure it's plumb straight up and down, and now shoot at this as well. Now that's going to give you your windage left and right for your sights. You're going to move, generally going to move your cage because your pins, if you're using multiple pins or even a fixed pin, you're going to adjust your cage left and right until you get it where you're hitting on this line every time. Doesn't matter where it's at. So you'll adjust them left and right depending on where it happens to be. So now then you've trained your mind to shoot horizontally and vertically and hit this 1 inch circle. Now you can also hit this 1 inch circle going this other direction this way. Now, when you look at your target, most of your 5 spots are single spots, the blue and white ones. You look at the 5 ring and it's pretty good sized. Now, when you look at the X ring, now you're getting about a 1 inch diameter circle. So now you can consistently hit this horizontal line all the time. You can consistently hit the vertical line. So what's different between that and shooting at that 1 inch diameter circle? There's nothing. So if you're hitting this all the time and you're hitting this all the time, there's no reason why you can't hit the X ring 100% of the time because you're doing it on this here. It's a little bit of a mental game. You're training your mind to know you can hit this, what you're shooting at. Now, after you get used to hitting this 1 inch circle, then why not take that 1 inch line and make it a 1/2 inch line? Now start focusing on this 1/2 inch line. And then when you get where you can hit both the vertical and horizontal lines, then why not take, instead of doing that 1/2 inch line, go to a 1/4 inch line. I didn't fold it very well, but you get the point here. Now you're shooting at this 1/4 inch line. And now once you're starting hitting this 1/4 inch line going vertical and horizontal, now you're picking which part of the X ring to put your arrow in. So that's how you can get really good at that. So just think of when you're shooting at a target, the smaller the target, the smaller the miss. And then now you start going into shooting longer range. So now go out to 30 yards and your left and right should be set. Your windage, but your elevation, now just set it. So now you might want to go to, back to your 1 inch circle or 1 inch line and shoot at that. Depending on how well you can see that 1 inch line, you might have to go to a 1.5 or 2 inch line. Now, I just drew this on a magic marker. You can take some black electrical tape, which is probably easier to put down. You don't take so much because, the back of the paper kind of bleeds through. So you got to be careful to put it down. It come off my bench, my table here, pretty good. But that's something you can do for that. And then just keep going further and further. And now for shooting out at longer ranges, as you get better and better at shooting those longer ranges, your upfront close sight shots are going to be really good. Now, one other way to use this vertical line is now you're going to take some spot on it or whatever. You can even do it this way. Might work good this way. Shoot at this with your 20-yard pin, then shoot at the 30-yard pin, then a 40-yard pin, 50-yard, 60 pin. So now from here, this arrow should be right on at 20 and should go straight up for 30, straight up for 40, 50, and 60. If they're going off at an angle, whether it be this way or this way, doesn't matter. Right-handers are going to have tendency to turn their hand a little bit this way, and it's going to send it off to the right of the target. So now that'll tell you whether or not you're canting your bow. When you have your hand on that bow, are you turning it too far? Are you not turning it far enough? Do you have that hand where it's not there? Are you torquing the bow? All that can affect the way that goes. So shoot at this at your different pins. If that arrow doesn't climb straight up, either your sight is not set right, so there's a little bit of an angle in it. Most new sights now, you can't adjust each pin individually like the old ones you could. So you want to go through and adjust that. And most likely it's you're holding your bow not level. That's you put a level on your sight. And once you get used to set coming up and it's level, then that'll take care of that. So shoot at this horizontal line at all your different pins. That arrow should walk straight up. So that is a couple of things you can use to try out different ways of adjusting your pin and way you can see where your problems might be, as well as change your mental attitude towards being able to actually hit the targets that you're shooting at.